everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Fisayo and I'm a second year MBA candidate at Arizona State University. It is one of the 3 schools that offered me a fully funded scholarship, also known as a full ride, for my MBA. And the good part of this scholarship is that it comes with a graduate assistantship role that pays me every 2 weeks. How cool is that? If you want to know all the tea, how I got myself into this and how you can get this for yourself, definitely grab your notepad, grab a seat and keep watching. Don't forget to hit like and share this video with somebody else who needs to know the good news. Now, first things first. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, like my Nigerians will say. The first thing that I needed to do was to find my why, define my why. I know, very unconventional, but in this journey, it's going to be a long stretch. So you need to know the reason why you're doing this. Do not do this because you see other people, doing this, going on this journey, and you think, oh, this should be nice. You need to define the reason why you are doing this. Why do you want to get an MBA? And no, I'm not talking about the fancy professional reasons that you're going to write in your essays. I'm talking about a truth that is very personal to you. For me, I needed to take a break from the life I was living. Yes, I've always known that I wanted to get an MBA, and in 2019, it dawned on me that 2020 was the year that I needed to take an MBA. I have other reasons why I was taking the MBA and at that time, but this is an example of something, my why. So just to give you clues, so it could be that you think you should earn better, you should earn 10 times more than what you're currently earning, or you want a better life for your family or your children, or you're tired of the traffic situation in your country. It could be anything, but find your whys and have them written down. You'd always need to go back to this document to reference it because the journey ahead of you is long. And there can be challenges on the way. But if you keep looking at the reasons why you are doing this, you stay encouraged, okay? Next thing is to identify what schools that you want to go to. So for me, even though I was very sure that I wanted to do the MBA and I was going to get it in 2020, I wasn't sure what my next steps would be after the MBA. And so it only made sense for me to apply to schools that will give me full funding just in case I needed to come back to my country. Very funny, right? But I was running a business in Nigeria before I left, and I was thinking, what if I would have to come back to my country immediately after my MBA? I do not want to come back with 100K, 50K, 20K, or 2K USD in loans. Nope. So in determining what schools I wanted to apply to, I checked a couple of schools. I did a ton of research and found schools that aligned with my career objectives, and then also further streamlined them to those ones that I knew or I found out that they could offer me fully funded scholarships. So I identified a couple of schools and applied to 11 schools. This video is not going to be about the 11 schools that I applied to. Definitely subscribe so that I'll do another video where I share all the schools that I applied to alongside their amount in funding that they each gave me. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you want to know more about that, and comment below. For the 3 schools that I was offered fully funded scholarships: Arizona State University, Ohio State University, and Penn State University. After identifying the schools that I wanted to take, I needed to choose what exam. So I looked on the school's curriculum. I could see that I could take either the GRE or the GMAT. So if you're wondering whether to take the GRE or the GMAT, the GRE is very verbal heavy and the GMAT is quant heavy. So you can decide to choose anyone that suits your strength. For me, I took the GRE and I had such a tough time. I had a tough time with the GRE. The GRE literally showed me pepe. And I will do another video. If this is something that you're interested in, definitely comment below if you want to know about my GRE experience and things that I would have done better to get a higher score. But my score was less than 310, Yes, my score was less than 310 on a second attempt. In fact, the second time I wrote it, I scored lower than what I got the first time. And you can imagine that it was a very low and sad period of my life. I'm a believer and I believe in the power of confessions. And so every day when my confession alarm rang, I would say repeatedly to myself that I received favor with respect to my MBA applications and I got 150% paid scholarship for the schools that the Lord is pleased with for me to attend in the United States. That helped me, to keep up regardless of what my GRE score was saying. I was definitely just preparing to write my essays and to nail my interviews. The good part is that the GRE or the GMAT is just one small aspect of your application. You have your essays and your admissions interview to show for your competence. So don't worry, if you have a score that is just above 300, you can still try to apply. In the process of preparing for my GRE, one thing that I did before submitting my applications was to connect with members of the admissions committee, also known as the AdCom. How did I do this? I went to the website of the schools and looked through for emails of members of the admissions committee. I sent an email introducing myself and requesting to speak to them. Let me read an example of an email that I sent and the response that I got. Hi, I hope you're having an inspiring and amazing day. I'm having a blast bursting with ideas and being excited about what the future holds for me and XXX University. My name is Fisaya Abiodun. I currently double as Senior Tax Consultant at PwC Nigeria and also Creative Director at my clothing company. I'm a young girl from Lagos, Nigeria who is passionate about breaking boundaries creatively, not just for myself, but for other young people like me. And then I went ahead to do like a little background on my college or undergrad degree and all of that. Then I said, I'm at this point in my life where I need to have an international perspective to advance my career, delve more into how technology is revolutionizing our lives, and I'm convinced that the MBA from your College of Business will help me achieve this goal. I would like to have a call with a representative of the admissions committee to understand more about how XXX School of Business could help accelerate my goals, and would also like to tell you more about myself and the impact I'm making in my work. I look forward to hearing back from you. And then they replied saying, Hi Fisayo, thank you for your interest in XXX MBA program. It sounds like you will greatly benefit from our informational meeting with one of our admissions counselors. They can speak to you directly about how our program can be best suited to your personal and career goals. If you would like to set up an appointment, please email me with a few dates and time frames that you are available in Pacific Standard Time, and I will set up a meeting. Our informational interviews can be done over the phone. In the meantime, please feel free to look through our full-time or international students MBA program website, which provides an excellent overview of our program, and contact us with any additional questions or concerns. We look forward to hearing from you. Best regards. So I had, that conversation, sent them what time I was available, and we had a call. The essence of doing that is to build rapport with members of the AdCom. You do not want to send in an MBA application without familiarizing yourself with members of the AdCom or getting them to know you. No, don't do that. Do not do that. You need to build a rapport with them so that they already know you. When they are sending in your application, they already can tell, they already know who you are based on the conversation that you've had. The next thing that you want to do is to go on LinkedIn and connect with students like you who are either in the first year or the second year. If you don't know how to do that, I would create another video on how to go on LinkedIn and search for students like you in the schools that you're looking to apply to. Now, I know I mentioned earlier that I applied to 11 schools, and you'll be wondering, oh my God, you must have spent a lot in application fees for those schools. Guess what? I did not pay a dime for any of the applications that I turned in. Please like this video if you have not. Like this video if you have not liked it at this point. All right, so here is how I did it. There are 3 ways There are 3 ways to get an application fee waiver. Now, the first one is to attend an informational session, a webinar, or a student-led event by the school. You need to go on the school's website and check under their events category to see what events they have for prospective students. More often than not, during those informational sessions or webinars, towards the end, they typically provide a code that students can use when they're applying, and they get the application fees waived. Yes. The second method is through discussions with members of the AdComs. Typically, again, during those conversations, they would email you to say, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Use XXX code to apply on your application as a waiver so you don't have to pay. That is the second method. The third method is to leverage on the rapport that you have built with the admissions committee member. If they do not email you to tell you that, oh, use this code or use this as an application fee waiver, you would open your mouth and ask them. So you politely send them an email saying, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I would like to ask if I could get an application fee waiver based on the declining XXX or the devaluation of XXX Naira in my country. Yes, you know all of that story. And I used either of these 3 methods for all the 11 schools that I applied to, and I didn't have to pay a single dime in application fees for all of my submissions. Our next thing is the actual submission of the application. It typically consists of your essays, your resume, your transcript, your GRE test scores or your GMAT test scores, your video applications. So for Ohio State and for Penn State, I had to do online assessment. So they'll just ask you basic questions like, oh, tell me about yourself. Tell me about a time that you held a leadership position. What is a fun fact about you? You know, just very basic questions that you would answer in a period of 20 seconds. So there's that. And then the recommendation letter for Ohio State and Penn State, I had to submit a proof of my English proficiency, which was the TOEFL. So I submitted that for Ohio State and for Penn State. There's one thing to note, there is no separate application for funding. Yes, the application you turn in, which is your essays, your resume, your transcript, your GRE, your recommendation, all of that is sufficient for you to get funding. You do not need to write an additional letter asking for funding for all of these 3 schools. And I applied in the 3rd round for my current school, that's Arizona State University. I remember that the deadline was February 4th, and I turned in my application, I think around February 1st. This year, the deadline is February 1st. So if you want to try, please do it. Do try to apply to my school, because the third round deadline is coming up in a couple of days. For Ohio State and Penn State, I applied in the 2nd round, and 2nd round closed in January, but you can still try to apply for the 3rd round. For Ohio State, I know that it closes February 27, and for Penn State, it closes February 1st, same as Arizona State University. Now, it is generally advised that you apply early in order to be considered for funding opportunities. Funding is available in every round. However, it typically decreases as the rounds go by because more people are being offered money. Round 3 is also the recommended deadline for international students. So do try to hit your round 3 deadlines for all the schools that you're looking to apply for if you're an international student. Now, there's one part of your application that is not in your hands alone. It is the recommendation bit. I had to get 2 people to recommend me for the schools that I applied to, and I used a manager and a colleague. Now, those people have known me for 4 and 2.5 years respectively, and they could speak to my abilities. You do not want to choose somebody who doesn't know you or who will give a generic response. That is an automatic fail. You want to speak to somebody who can clearly articulate the value that you have provided at your place of work over a specific period of time. You need to be tactical in choosing who. as well. You need to apply wisdom. You don't want to choose someone who's going to go around telling the entire office what your plans are and make you miss a promotion cycle. You also don't need to go to the CEO or the toppest boss at your organization, because they really do not work with you. Here is a pro tip. If you have sent a recommendation letter request to somebody that you work with, maybe your manager or senior manager or anybody that you have sent it to, and you do not get a response in a week, follow up again in the next week. In the third week, you don't have to wait for the third week, but you can draft a sample of a recommendation letter for them and send it to them saying, "Hi, you can use this as a guide in providing recommendation to me." And you'll be surprised at how quickly they will turn in the recommendation. Pro tip. Also, when you're submitting your application, you need to select or tick the box that says waive your ability to view recommendation. This allows you to be able to see whatever thing that your recommender or your referee has put in before it goes to the school. I turned in my application February 1st for Arizona State University, and for Ohio State and Penn State University, I turned it in mid-January, as that was when the second round deadline was. And I waited about 2 weeks before I got called for an interview. For Arizona State University, the interview was a mix of behavioral interview questions and case interviews. Yes. So a bit of case interview and behavioral, they just want to know what your leadership competence is like. So tell me about a time you led a team. Tell me about an accomplishment that you are most proud of. Tell me about a time. What are your short and long-term goals? For Ohio State and Penn State, it was all behavioral questions for me. Now, the decision for Ohio State and Penn State came in March of 2020, and for Arizona State University, it came in April. I know that I have shared a lot in this video, and you may need to pause at some point and go back to revisit to see how well you are faring. If you have any questions, this is just a summary of everything. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I will see them and respond to them either in the comments or do a separate video about it. I know that this MBA application process could be quite tedious, and so I have created an accountability group that you can join for free. Look at the description box below. You will see a form titled "Interested in an MBA in the United States." It's a small circle, a small accountability circle that you can just sign up in for free and just checking your progress with someone. I really enjoy the company of a cousin of mine who was also applying for the MBA the same time I was applying. We would circle back every week to find out what our progress was, and it was a good motivation for us to keep up with the work that we were doing. The MBA is such a worthwhile investment, and over the past 1.5 years that I've been here, it has been very transformative. Regardless of the number of schools that you apply to and the applications that you turn in, please treat each one uniquely. Give it your best shot. Yes, give it your best shot and watch your success come in. Thank you for watching this video. Do not forget to like, do not forget to share, do not forget to subscribe, and let me know in the comments any questions that you have for me, and I will definitely respond. See you in my next video. Bye.